Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Sideline Shenanigans podcast today with Jacob Maggard
Dalton Phillips reporting in from a car.
Today we're going to be talking about a recap of Week 4. Of course, we had some fun games. Me and Dalton absolutely stunk it up this week on our picks.
Bad.
Both of us went a whopping 3-7, so not the best
Good
week
winner.
ever. But we got some fun ones to look at, and I guess we'll go ahead and hop right into it. Uh, First one here, obviously a big one in the non-Power 5 world because we got Buffalo playing NIU, and it went to OT. Buffalo ends up pulling out a W, 23-20. Now, of course, NIU, I guess the sweetheart of college football this year, had upset Notre Dame. Looked like they had a chance to go fight for that playoff spot, but this is a big loss. I mean, it sets you back a ton. It pretty much eliminates you. You could still technically win the conference and be the highest ranked non-Power 4 conference champion, but it's unlikely.
Well, the rushing attack was actually doing quite well for Northern Illinois. Surprisingly, they didn't win the ball game. I was kind of rooting for this team after the Notre Dame win. They might still be the real deal, but they didn't show it this game.
Next game here. Of course, this one pretty wild. Vanderbilt hangs in there with Missouri all the way into a double overtime final. And Vanderbilt looked really good actually in this game. Pavia and Cedric Alexander tore us apart in Week 1. They do this again against Missouri. Both run the ball well. Pavia, I mean, he is a very he's a very dynamic runner. Yeah, I mean, in this game he passed well, 14 for 23, 178, 2 touchdowns. Looking at the stats, you could have said, I mean, I understand why Vandy was in this game. Looking at the other side of the ball, of course, Missouri.
Brady Cook's a stud.
He looks good in this game. And then they run the ball super well. Nate Noel, 24 carries, almost 200 yards in the day, 8.3 yards per carry. And then, of course, looking at the receiving, Luther Burden, Theo Weiss, both expected to be studs, both were studs in this game. Other than that, really, it was one of those games where it come down to the last second, and Vanderbilt had a chance to tie it and go to a third overtime, and they just shanked a field goal. Next game here. Of course, we're hopping into our picks for the week. Started out rough for me and Dalton both on Friday with Nebraska,
Yep.
Illinois. Heck of a game, goes to overtime. Both quarterbacks play super well. Altmaier was just very good with the ball, very smart. Didn't make any bad decisions, didn't overthrow people. Was consistent, as you can tell by his stats, 21 for 27, 215, 4 touchdowns. He looked like a veteran quarterback in that game, and Raiola did miss throws, did have a pick. And even though he played well, 297, 3 touchdowns, you can tell he's the young guy. He was the younger quarterback in that situation watching this game. Statistically speaking, looking at the running back, Dowdle plays, I mean, that's not bad.
That's a pretty good game.
72 yards, and then
Yep.
Ramir Johnson doesn't get a lot of carries in this game, but they were passing pretty heavy. Obviously, other side, we talked about the running attack. Fegan and McCray both
They
played
have that
great.
dynamic running backs. Two running backs. They're pretty good.
They honestly had a trio because Khalil
Yeah.
Valentine last week played well. Of course, this week he takes a step back and carries. But yeah, I mean, the running game for Illinois was great. We kind of expect that out of these Big Ten schools to run the ball, play
That's all they
defense.
do.
Nebraska receiver Isaiah Nayer was their guy coming into the game. He is their guy again. Goes 4 for 92 touchdowns. Jamal Banks plays well. And then on the other side, Illinois Pat Bryant was also their guy, the guy we talked about in the, before this game. And he goes 5 for 74, 2 touchdowns. And Pat Bryant, they actually drew up a really unique play for him to score one of his touchdowns. He would line up at fullback. So they come out in a formation with a power I formation, quarterback, fullback, running back, and he's the fullback. So I guess Nebraska missed that was him. Snapped the ball, faked the handoff to the running back, and roll out, and he's wide open corner of the
Right
end.
on. Yep. We'll
And it was
see.
it was a great play call. I
Yep.
loved it. It was a very interesting play, and obviously it worked. Scored a touchdown for him. But yeah, Illinois, good football team, 4-0. Next game here, me and Dalton both picked this. Clemson, I did say that I thought their offense had finally figured it out, and obviously it does look
It
like their
did.
offense has figured it
Yep.
out. Again, not against a super good team in this NC State football team. They're still it's
They're
kind of
nowhere near as good as everybody was expecting them to be at the beginning of the season.
no, they're definitely not. They're not even close to as good as
No.
team people thought they would be. Clemson passing the ball. Klubnik is great again. 16 for 24, 209, 3 touchdowns. Of course, they put up 59 points, so obviously other things were happening for him. And one of those was a massive run by Klubnik. He takes a 55-yard rushing touchdown in that game, and you don't see Klubnik run like that very often.
No.
So that was just really mishandled by NC State. And then Phil Maffa, man, that is a ridiculous number there. 7
Yep.
for 107, 15 yards per carry.
He showed
tore him
out.
apart, man. Yeah, he tore him apart. NC State running the ball. Of course, Jordan Waters was their lead back, but coming into this game, we talked about Kendrick Raphael and how he had a lot of carries.
Good.
He plays well, 10 for 90 and a touchdown. Really, the story is CJ Bailey just isn't good enough to beat a team like Clemson yet. Now, he didn't look horrible, but they definitely need a veteran quarterback if they were going to have a chance in this game. We talked about that. We said that was probably going to be an issue, and it definitely was. Next one here. Of course, me and Dalton both picked North Carolina, even with not knowing the quarterback situation. And
Yep.
JMU comes in here and drops 70. They got everything going in this game.
Yep.
Alonzo Barnett plays awesome. Best game he's played in his career. He goes 22 for 34, 388 yards. That's nearly 400 passing, 5 touchdowns, a 95.5 QBR. That's a phenomenal grade. He runs the ball super well, 13 for 99, 7.6 yards per carry, 2 touchdowns. I mean, the dude took over in this
Yeah.
game. Of course, we talked about their running game being dynamic and that they had good backs. George Pettaway plays well. Tyler Purdy, in his 6 carries, runs the ball well. But then, I mean, looking at the other side, Carolina, they still put up 50 points.
Yeah.
Criswell does play well. You obviously you hate to see the 2 picks, but a lot of stuff just went wrong for Carolina in this game. They had a punt blocked in the very first part of the game, and JMU opened up to a massive lead. Um, it got ugly, man, quick in this game. Now UNC had a better second half, but it was already pretty much over.
Yeah.
Criswell definitely looks like their guy for the rest of the year. He plays well. Again, you hate to see the 2 picks, but he passed the ball really well. And then of course, Marion Hampton, we knew he was a beast.
Yeah. He's a stud.
For 139, 3 touchdowns. He's ridiculous. But yeah, JMU looks legit. They've figured things out quick. All right, next game here. Of course, we're looking at one where me and Dalton both picked Georgia Tech on the road here. Both got that wrong as
Yep.
well. Again, not our best week. Louisville looks pretty good, man. They play well. Obviously, 13 for 19 from Tyler Show. Didn't have to do a whole lot there. I mean, it's only 13 completions. They don't really run the ball super well in this game either. But they just did enough. I mean, a lot of deep completions, 269, 2 touchdowns. Yeah, I mean, yeah, looking at Georgia Tech, Haynes King, of course, he plays well, 21 for 32, 312, no passing touchdowns, but he does have a rushing touchdown. And Jamal Haynes, man, he just didn't get going this
Did
game.
have a good game.
Only averaging 2 yards per carry. You got to have more than that if you want to win. Um, Looking at other stats, again, Louisville's run game really wasn't there. This was more of just Ja'Cory Brooks was really, really great. And 4 for 125 and a touchdown. Obviously caught the big deep ball for 57 yards. And then on the other side, I mean, Malik Rutherford, Eric Singleton both play well. It just obviously wasn't enough. Louisville comes away with a pretty big win here, and that
This is a
definitely
good Georgia Tech team too. So I mean, that's a big win.
yeah, I mean that's huge. It sets them up for future success in the conference, and of course they're trying to compete and be that second best team in the conference behind Miami. Next one here, Michigan USC. We were both wildly
Wrong again.
Yeah, we both predicted that USC would win big here, and I just really, truly thought because the quarterback situation wasn't figured out at all at Michigan that they wouldn't win. And Alex Orji goes 7 for 12 and 32 yards. He doesn't even pass the ball well at all. But
When you're
Michigan,
running that ball that good, you can do. You don't have to pass the ball.
dude,
I mean,
Michigan's run game is ridiculous.
ridiculous.
46 for 290, 6.3 yards per carry, 3 touchdowns. Khalil Mullings, again, is a superstar running back. 17 for 159, 2 touchdowns on his own. Of course, looking at USC stats, quarterback Miller Moss, he plays well. 28 for 51, 283, 3 touchdowns. Does have the pick, but you'd like to see him a higher completion percentage from him. Rushing wise, Woody Marks, he looked like a stud again. We talked about him prior to the game and how we thought he would be a pretty big piece if they won. Uh, Michigan just took control of the ball at the final possession and drove down and won the game.
Yeah, the big house helped them out here too, in my opinion. I mean,
Yeah.
it made that USC offense struggle quite a bit. And
Yeah, I
it
mean,
showed.
it was purely their run game being absolutely dominant and Michigan getting to the quarterback, 4 sacks. And I think the pick was a pick six. Yeah, Will Johnson had a pick six. So that was massive to get 6 points from your defense, especially when your offense can't move the ball down the field passing and it's just all running the ball. Utah, Oklahoma State. This was a super.
Another miss.
Yeah, obviously got this one incorrect, but this one was much closer. I mean, just like the last one, 3-point game. A lot of these games were toss-ups. Utah, we talked about it going into it. Cam Rising, if he didn't play, they had to go to Isaac Wilson. Cam Rising doesn't play. It's an issue that Utah has because Cam Rising is supposed to be this star quarterback, this really good player for them, and he doesn't play football.
Yes.
Yeah, Isaac Wilson, young guy, 17 for 29, 207, only 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. Yeah, looking at Oklahoma State, Alan Bowman, he doesn't play the best football game he's played all year. 16 for 33, 206, 2 touchdowns, 2 picks. Um, Obviously that was the backbreaker for this game. They don't have any run game.
Ollie Gordon did not play well at all.
No, Utah's defense shut them down, man. And on the other side, like I said, Utah, even though Wilson does throw the two picks, they get it done because Micah Bernard goes off 25 for 182.
An outstanding game.
Wilson also runs well, but you had to have that. You had to have them run the ball super well with a younger quarterback. And we talked about that if they won this game without Rising, it would be because the running game was good. Next one here. Miami beats USF. It's 50-15 final. First half, as you can see, I mean, you can see the breakdown of points and how they were scored. Obviously, Miami shuts them out 28-0 in the second half, but you take that off the board, and this was a really close game at halftime. Miami's passing attack was phenomenal again. Cam Ward is
Ward is a stud.
the Heisman. 404, three touchdowns, one pick, 94 QBR. Dude was great. He also runs the ball well, 5 for 43. Other side, like we said, they hung around for a while. Byron Brown, he plays well. 19 for 30, 254, no touchdowns, but he also runs a ton. Obviously, averages weren't great. But
Yep.
yeah, I mean, you can look at the stats and tell why Miami won this game.
And I'm very like USF is a good football team.
Miami's receivers do play really well, though. I mean, Isaiah Horton, Xavier Restrepo, Samuel Brown all have touchdowns. And then for USF, receiver Sean Atkins is the clear guy to be their number one receiver, 11 catches, 125. They relied on him a lot. But yeah, USF, they're not bad, and they can definitely hang around in the non-power five. All right, next game here, we got Kansas State traveling to BYU. Of course, BYU dominates in this football game, 38-9 win. Kansas State, of course, like I said, passing game really wasn't there for them. Avery Johnson goes 15 for 28 with two picks. Clearly what lost them the game. The running attack is pretty good again. We expect that from them. Giddens goes 19 for 93. Johnson goes 11 for 74. And even back Dylan Edwards goes 6 for 41. The running game was great, but you can't turn the ball over twice on passing the ball and still hope that the run game can win it for you.
Yep.
Looking at the other side, BYU, Jake Retzlaff, he goes 15 for 21, 149, and two touchdowns. He did just enough for them. The running game was pretty good. Retzlaff, of course, took a sack or two to get that negative rushing yards.
Yeah, that Kansas State D line's pretty good, so I expected that.
Yeah, they would have been over 100 on the day, take away his negative 10 yards there. Receiving wise, we talked about both of these receivers last week, Chase Roberts, Chase Brown, both being the lead guys for their teams. But yeah, the two turnovers, of course, and just nothing goes right for Kansas State in this game. And also, BYU had an insane punt return. The dude probably ran like 150 yards total because he ran all the way across fielded it at his own like 3 yard line and then runs all the way for a touchdown. So yeah, it was pretty rough. BYU looks like contenders in the conference. Next one here, of course, always sad for me to see
Another missed pick.
see an L on the board. Yeah, this just compiles the rough week we put together as picking. Rutgers take this one by 3. I mean, we make a storm back at the end of the game, come back and literally lose at the end on a pick. It's like the offense was so dysfunctional throughout the entire game, and then in the fourth quarter they figure things out, but it's just obviously too late at that point. I mean, looking at the stats, we talked about we wanted to let Calic Manis beat us, and he did beat us, but it was just kind of they had a good game plan. They had plays that were working, a lot of RPO stuff, a lot of out routes, short stuff, throwing the ball, keeping it short, keeping it easy for him, and he didn't have to make a lot of plays. And it worked. I mean, that's all that they needed to do. They keep checking it down, and it was perfect game plan. We didn't let Monungai beat us. We actually played really well against him. He only went 26-84, 3.2 yards per carry, and a touchdown. And of course, Samuel Brown, their backup, he actually played well. Had a lot of their goal line carries. He went 14 for 60 and two touchdowns. Again, it was a lot of short stuff. I mean, you can see right there they completed a pass to 3 different receivers in this game.
Yep.
Looking at the stats, of course, you'd like to see Drones had a little bit better of a game, but I can't blame it all on him. He had some overthrows and some missed plays here and there, but play calling definitely hinders him. He does have the pick. Of course, it was the last play of the game. Too many errors here and there, and this could easily be a 4-0 team without the mistakes that they've made, and the mistakes, of course, that's part of the game. You can't make them, and that's what they've done. Running the ball, Tootin, 15 for 122, 3 touchdowns. Give him the ball more, please. I mean,
Yeah, he's the best player on the field. Give him the ball.
He's a monster of a player. I mean, the concepts don't make sense to get our best players the ball. Receiving wise, Lane, Felton, Green all have big catches, but again, it's just not a great game from anybody.
And you don't have Ollie Jennings playing. That's a
Jennings
downfall there too.
didn't take a snap in this game. Injured last week, misses the whole game. That's obviously a big loss. Even if he's not getting the targets, he's taking up a good corner. Too many mistakes, really, truthfully. That's the story of it. Last game on our schedule here. Of course, we both picked this one correctly. Tennessee plays
Yeah,
a close game with Oklahoma, and really the quarterback struggles for Oklahoma. Tennessee took advantage of that. They
advantage of it. That defensive line took advantage of not Jackson Arnold just not be ready to play against that Tennessee defensive line.
Yeah, they played so well. I mean, they
Yeah,
they rushed the passer well. They got to Arnold a lot, and he made tons of mistakes. He had a horrible fumble. Of course, he had the pick. And it's not the cleanest game from Tennessee, but they did what they had to do to win.
Nico didn't play great.
Yeah, a lot of what Tennessee did
Yeah,
offensively was slowed down and controlled. It was a lot of run game, a lot of short passing. They didn't let him take too many deep shots. They didn't want him to make the mistake that would cost him the game. And they didn't really need him to play great. Their defense was all over Oklahoma until they subbed in Michael Hawkins. Running the ball, they had no run game at all. Like we said, Tennessee's D line shut them down completely in the run game. They just controlled this game. They did what they had to do to win, and it wasn't pretty, but a win's a win, and especially a win on the road in the SEC.
yep.
All right, thank you everybody for joining us. I appreciate it. We had a good week here of some pretty exciting games to watch. Now, me and Dalton did not pick our best week,
No,
but
it was by far our worst weekend, and it showed.
yeah, it was rough. I think we'll bounce back next week with some good picks. Of course, stay tuned. Video should come out on Thursday with a pick 'em for week 5. Thank you guys again for watching. Like and subscribe if you don't mind. We always appreciate everybody that is paying attention to our videos. And yeah, peace
And
out.
go Vols.